Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Yayu Muniarti, and our member Aida, Masni, Hanifah, Zakiyyah, Fatin, Purnama Yulianti, Rorianti Lala S, dan Stevani Saimima. We want to talk about the Victorian era. First, I want to tell you about the history of Victorian era. The period Victorian era in British history, it starts 1820 until 1914, but the period of Queen Victoria, it starts 1837 until 1907. Next, short timeline about the Victorian period, or Victoria who ascended the throne. From George III, 1760, after his death, the throne forwarded to George IV. George IV didn't have children, so in 1830, William IV ascended the throne, but he didn't have children too, so the throne forwarded to Edward, but Edward he did early, so his daughter Victoria who ascended the throne in 1837. The Victorian period was characterized by rapid change and developments such as technology, for example, railway in this picture, and medical scientific such as hospital building. You can see this picture. The Victorian age called the age of empire because the revolution industry like steam engines, railway, and sewing machine. The Victorian age is also called the difficult period because of social unrest. Next, politics were important to the Victorians. The English government was ruled by Queen Victoria in a monarchy comprised with a parliament. Government consists of the monarch and the two House of Parliament. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Stevani Saimima. On this occasion, I will explain about the classification of social class in the Victorian era. During the reign of Queen Victoria, which was in the midst of the turmoil of the Industrial Revolution, in that time British society was then divided into certain social classes. The social class classification in that area is divided into 1. Upper class. The upper class was the high social class of the Victorian English social hierarchy. The people in this class do not work manually. That income usually come from investment made by them from inherited land. 2. Middle class. The middle class are people who have to work, or in other words, they have work to do. 3. Working class. The working class is a group of workers. 4. Lower class. This class was incorporated into the British social system during the Victorian era. There are helpless sort of people who live on the other. Thank you for attention. Bye bye.
Hello everyone, I'm Hanifah Zakiyyah Fatin, and for this time I will talking about the Queen of Victorian Era.
Victoria Alexandrina Victoria, 24 of May 1819 to 22nd of January 1901, was Queen of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland from 20 of June 1837 until her death. Victoria was the daughter of Prince Edward, Duke of Kent and Sturton, and Princess Victoria of Zakiyyah. Victoria married her first cousin, Prince Albert of Zakiyyah and Gotha, in 1840. Their children married into royal and noble families across the continent, airing Victoria the Subrequite, the grandmother of Europe, and spreading hemophilia in European royalty.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Purnama Yulianti. Here I will explanation about the author and the literary works of the Victorian era. Okay, the first, prose. Famous novelists during this period were Charles Dickens. His first book was Sketches by Boz. William Makepeace Thackeray. His very interesting novel was The Books of Snobs. George Eliot, his most famous work is Adam Bede. Charlotte Brontë, her first novel was The Professor. Thomas Hardy, his most famous novel is The Term Woman's Tragedy. Poetry, famous poetry figures during this period were Robert Browning, his most famous work is Pauline. Dante Gabriel Rossetti wrote a poem entitled The Blessed Damozel. William Morris, his most famous work was Defense of Guinevere. Christina Rossetti, her most famous poetry work was Goblin Market and Other Poems. Algernon Charles Swinburne, his most famous work is The Queen Mother and Rosamund. Last, drama, popular playwright at the time were Thomas William Robinson, his most famous work was Cats. Oscar Wilde, his most famous work is Lady Windermere Fence. Okay, I think enough explanation from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Aida masni. I will continue the explanation from my friends, especially about literary work.
The characteristics of poetry in the Victorian era are generally marked by the ebb and flow of the lyricism and spontaneity found in the Romanticism era, and lead to establishment of standards in both form and contents, thus giving rise to Puritanism, known as Victorianism. Social, scientific, and religious issues are the subject of poetry. All elements of expression are considered carefully so as to obtain advance in poetry writing technique. Famous poetry figures during this period were: Number 1, Alfred Lord Tennyson, The Princess. Number 2, Robert Browning, Paul. Number 3, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, The Seraphim and Other Poems. And then Matthew Arnold, The Forsaken, Sorhab and Rustam, and Dover Beach. I think that's all for me. Thank you for attention. The next explanation will be explained by my friends. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Rorianti Lala S, and now I'm gonna continue the explanation from Aida Masni. The poem number 5 is from Dante Gabriel Rossetti. He was a poet and painter. At first, he was known of painter, but in the end, he wrote a poem called The Blessed Damozel in 1850, which made him famous. And the poem number 6 is from Christina Rossetti. She is the sister of Dante Gabriel Rossetti. She was a very subjective poet and idealized in the 17th century. And the famous poetry work is Goblin Market and Other Poetry in 1862. The poem number 7 is from William Morris. He was a socialism poet and philosopher, designer and painter. And the famous work of William Morris is Defense of Guinevere in 1858. The last poem from Algernon Charles Swinburne. He was a poet and critic who came from aristocratic circle. The most famous work are The Queen Mother and the Rosamund in 1860. I think that's all about my presentation and my friend. Thank you for watching and thank you for your attention. Bye bye.